coverage you can count on continues. This is WGAL News 8 at 10.
Good evening, I'm Danielle Woods. Tonight on News 8 at 10, the York community comes together to honor firefighters who lost their lives in the line of duty. And not one more. Thousands take to the streets in the Susquehanna Valley and across the country to march for our lives. Plus, shots ring out overnight in Harrisburg, leaving 2 wounded and 1 dead. And now police are searching for 3 people in connection with the homicide. But we start with breaking news out of the city of Lancaster, where police are on the scene of a shooting. News 8's Tosin Fakile joins us live with what we know.
Danielle, is still an active scene here at West Farnham Street. Police have part of the street taped off. Now, police have been at a particular home there, this 23 West Farnham. Now, all we know is that there was a shooting. Police tell us they can't give us any information because it's still under investigations. Neighbors are in the homes to the left and right of the house of 23 West Farnham, and some of them have come in and out of their home. Now, that's all we know for now, that there was a shooting, and police are on the scene and are still investigating. Stay with WGAL for the latest on this. But for now, live in Lancaster, I'm Tosin Fakile, WGAL News 8.
All right, thank you, Tosin. Well, right now you are looking live over York. We had a sunny day across the Susquehanna Valley, but will the spring-like weather stick around? Here's News 8 meteorologist Ethan Houston with our first look at the forecast.
It was nice to see the sun today out there across the Susquehanna Valley. It did melt a lot of that snowpack. You can see here on Hershey, right there along the roadside, you can see just plain grass. Right now it is 43 degrees. We're starting to see some clouds roll in across the region. Dew points are in the 20s, but notice the winds a little brisk out there right now, the southwest at 14 miles per hour, making like it feels like it's in the mid-30s. It's already down to 33 in York. It's 39 if you're watching us in Lancaster, and 37 in Gettysburg. And notice we've got that storm system well off to our south. We have some passing clouds, but there is an incoming cold front from the northeast. This backdoor front will move across the valley while you sleep tonight, and it may trigger a few isolated flurries through the overnight hours. Temperatures will drop to the mid-20s tonight and will only rebound to the mid-40s for tomorrow. We'll see the chances for a few isolated rain and snow showers linger through the afternoon, and then eventually we'll start to see our temperatures warm back up to near average. I'll have the details on that coming up. All
right, thank you, Ethan. Tonight, the York community came together to remember the city's 2 firefighters who lost their lives in the line of duty on Thursday. News 8's Tosin Fakile was at tonight's vigil and tells us what it meant to others who were there.
Emotions were high at Saturday's vigil, remembering 2 fallen firefighters, Ivan Flancha and Zachary Anthony.
And it hurts like hell to lose somebody like that.
A little upset. It's unfortunate that it happened, but I don't know. I wish it didn't happen.
SPIN, a community-based organization who put the vigil together, say they just wanted to give the community a way to grieve.
A lot of times people say, you know, I wish I could do this or I wish I could do that, but you know, this is just one way that we can all help.
People hugged and showed love to the families of both Flancha and Anthony who were at tonight's vigil.
Just to pay our respects to the fallen. We have Eric Swanson was injured. He's a good friend of ours. He was injured and we wanted to be here for him and his family.
And when you lose one, it's hard. I can't imagine what York City Fire Department's going through.
Flags were placed at the scene where the building collapsed that cost 2 firefighters their lives.
Firefighters are out there every day risking their lives for us, so we need to be there for them.
In York, Tosin Fakile, WGAL News 8.
And all the money given to buy flags or stickers tonight will be donated to the York City Fire Department. The public memorial service for those fallen firefighters will be held on Wednesday, March 28th. And that's from 1 to 3 p.m. at the York Expo Center's Memorial Hall. Following the tragedy, there's been a tremendous outpouring of support to help the firefighters' families. People have been dropping off flowers, balloons, and flags at the firehouse. The York Professional Firefighters Association also set up a fundraiser for the families of the fallen and injured firefighters, Greg Altland and Eric Swanson. The chief says while the families grieve and heal, he wants to make sure finances are the last thing they have to worry about.
Those expenses are going to pop up, and we just want to make sure that they have that comfort to know that there's help there, and you know, they're able to try to continue to get their lives back to normal.
You can find a link to the fundraiser on the WGAL Facebook page. So far, more than $40,000 has been raised. Now to the latest on the building where the deadly collapse happened. News 8 has learned the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is leading the investigation with help from local and state police. That investigation could take up to a week. For now, there's a fence surrounding the building on North Broad and Walnut Streets because there's concern it could collapse even more. Families who live near the site cannot go home yet because the power has been shut off. Well, News 8 will keep tracking developments in this investigation. We'll bring you the latest information on air, online, and on the WGAL app. Across the country, hundreds of thousands of people took part in March for Our Lives demonstrations today, including in Lancaster. Crowds of people gathered at Clipper Magazine Stadium and marched to Binns Park. The event, which was one of about 800 that happened in the U.S. today, is part of a student-led movement focused on taking action to stop school shootings and gun violence as a whole. A Pulse nightclub shooting survivor was one of the guest speakers.
After seeing that these tragedies are happening over and over again, I think it's very important for us to stick together and do this all on our own and try and make a change.
State Auditor General Eugene DePasquale also spoke at the Lancaster event. Our March for Our Lives coverage continues now with News 8's Saixa Diaz in Washington, D.C.
Danielle, for 3 hours, students took the stage to share stories of survival and demand lawmakers take action on gun control. A movement sparked by tragedy.
In a little over 6 minutes, 17 of our friends were taken from us.
A march spearheaded by teenagers.
Look around. We are the change.
Parkland students, young activists, celebrities, and Americans, young and old, coming together to speak out against gun violence.
This issue frightens me every day. To think about possibly getting shot to go to school. Like, my little sister's 5. She shouldn't have to worry about stuff like that.
Marchers calling on Congress to pass stricter gun laws.
We've been fighting for this way too long and nothing has changed, and we need change now.
We can reduce gun violence, protect Second Amendment freedoms. This is a moral imperative.
The crowd filling Pennsylvania Avenue with signs, just steps from the Capitol and not far from the White House, which released a statement saying, quote, "We applaud the many courageous young Americans exercising their First Amendment rights today." Across the country and around the world, hundreds of cities held their own marches to show support and send the same message: never again. Florida Senator Marco Rubio, whom many of the students criticized today for accepting NRA contributions, says he commends the protesters, but says they should find common ground with law-abiding Americans who don't support additional gun laws. In Washington, Saixa Diaz, WGAL News 8.
The National Rifle Association took to social media this weekend to slam Saturday's massive protest calling for stricter gun control. On Facebook, the NRA characterized the movement as a sham organized by, quote, Hollywood elites and gun-hating billionaires. The posting accused those billionaires and elites of manipulating the youth protesters in an effort to, quote, destroy the Second Amendment. To Harrisburg now, where 3 people were shot overnight and one of those shootings turned deadly. The latest happened just before 2. Police were called to Double D's bar on the 500 block of South 19th Street for a report of shots fired. There, they found 20-year-old Jawan Washington wounded by gunfire in a vehicle behind the bar. Washington was pronounced dead at the hospital. Another man was also wounded and taken to Hershey Medical Center. Police released these photos, take a good look, of a suspect and 2 persons of interest. Police say the suspect's vehicle appears to be a late 90s, early 2000s Ford Windstar that's red and tan. Now, the other shooting happened just about an hour earlier. Police were called to the Jazzland bar on the 1900 block of Walnut Street, where they found a man on the ground who was shot in the stomach area. The victim was taken to Hershey Medical Center. Police are asking anyone with information on these shootings to give them a call or submit a tip through Crime Watch. To Lancaster County now, where a Mount Joy woman is dead after a 2-vehicle head-on collision. It happened around 10 this morning on the 900 block of Colebrook Road in East Donegal Township. Police say 36-year-old Mindy Odenwalt was a passenger in a vehicle traveling south on Colebrook Road when another vehicle traveling north crossed the center line, resulting in that head-on crash. Susquehanna Regional Police say 4 other people were taken to the hospital. New tonight, we now know the names of the 3 people killed in a York County accident. It happened yesterday afternoon before 1 on the 200 block of York Road in Carroll Township. The York County coroner identified the victims as 3-year-old Destiny Rayhart and her parents, 26-year-old Jennifer Edler and 32-year-old Brandon Rayhart. The three lived in Carlisle. Another child in their vehicle was taken to the hospital, as well as the driver of the other vehicle involved. No word on their conditions at this time. Well, right now, the search continues for a driver in Dauphin County who led police on a chase before crashing into a building. Police say Christopher Forster followed his ex-girlfriend's car yesterday as she left her house for work. They say he rammed her vehicle and pushed it into a parked car, then crashed his car into a building on 2nd Street in Swatara Township and then ran off. Police say Forster will be charged with assault and violating the protection from abuse order that's against him. Coming up on News 8 at 10, why President Trump has banned the majority of transgender individuals from serving in the military. But first, here are tonight's lottery numbers. Pick 2, 99, pick 3, 292, pick 4, 9783, pick 5, 08736. Tonight's Wild Ball is 2. Cash 5, 10, 16, 32, 37, 40, and the match 6, 8, 15, 17, 31, 32, and 39.